Yes, indeedy Roo. It is time for the dailybreadproject.com. I am feeling great. I'm stoked that you're here, and I have a guest coming on shortly. So we'll bring this thing live to Facebook in just a moment. We'll allow the guest to arrive. I want to just share with you that I was reading Abundance today. Very good book. And I think right now, more than ever, you guys need to tune into that book, Abundance. Well, I'm listening to it on Audible, of course. That's what I do. But so poignant and so timely right now with everything that's going on. In particular, I was reading chapter 3 today, and they talked about the media and how the media preys on your fears. See, we've got this part of our brain called the amygdala, and it's where the fight or flight response lives. And that served us well when we were cavemen hiding from saber-toothed tigers, but not so much today. And yet the media preys on those fears, preys on that amygdala. They want that thing swollen, scared. They want you shut down so that you're dependent on them. But that's what we're doing here at the Daily Bread Project, is the complete opposite of that. I want to shrink your amygdala, bring you love, leadership, and happiness so that you can live a happier, more fulfilled life. I think the buzz term these days is live your best life. So I see my guest is here. I'm going to bring him up. Then I'm going to bring us live to Facebook, and we are going to rock with the dailybreadproject.com. I am promoting you to panelists. I am going to bring this thing over to the Facebooks. And if everything goes well, we'll be live shortly on the Podcast Factory page, and I'll share it to my personal page. And anybody that wants to keep up with us, it's thedailybreadproject.com. There's links there. There's video replays, links to everything that you would ever need. I guess it's everything you would ever need. It's all the links I have to Google and iTunes, and obviously where we do the Facebook Lives as well. So it looks like this thing's going to work. Let's get this post up into the group. And we will go live, and I'll bring in our guest. All right, looks like everything's working on that side. I'm going to do the intro, and we're going to rock with this. So here we go. You are listening to the dailybreadproject.com. Out there, it's scary. There's chaos. There's craziness. Amygdalas are swollen. In here, we're bringing you love, light, happiness, leadership, everything that's good in the world to let you know that it ain't as bad as they want you to think. And I can't do this all by myself, so I have to enlist the help of others. Today, I have Mr. Jib Lupkin. What is up, my man?
It's a pleasure to meet you. Love your energy.
Oh, thank you. Uh-oh. Is Zoom freezing? Zoom is freezing up on me, but I'm sure it's going to work. Brother, thank you for being here, and I'll give you the rundown. So what we do is we talk about power, positivity, leadership, love, and opportunity. And then we end off on my favorite question, which I'll leave as a surprise for you. So let's do this, man. Let's jump into this. What is your source of power?
Ooh, great question. What is my source of power? I think the source of power is having that thirst to wanna make a difference. Ever since that I can remember, I'm 42 years old, so ever since I was small, I always been about how do I make a difference in the world. And as rosy as that may sound sometimes, and sometimes people just get too focused on how much money do I need to make, or how do I climb my career. My source of power has always been how do I make a difference in the world, in everything I did, and that's my drive.
Dude, I mean, so this you're talking from an evolved mindset. Obviously, you're not in the swollen amygdala days. So how did you realize that it wasn't about the money, it wasn't about the fame or the other things? How did you make that transition, or were you always in that mindset?
I've always been in that mindset. I thought I learned it somewhere along the road. I remember having a conversation with my mother and father a long time ago, asking them, I was living in Arizona at the time, and I asked them, when you think about your son, what do you like? what pops in your head from a professional standpoint? And they said different things that were funny as being parents, but the main thing that they talked about a lot was you're a storyteller, and you just always wanted to do things big. And I'm like, so what do you mean by doing things big? They go, not necessarily like making any particular type of money. You just always want to do something big, where it seems like you just want to do something big. So I've been like that my entire life. I literally think I was born like that. However, there's different times throughout my life where I did get sidetracked. So for example, I think it was 2006, I moved to Scottsdale, Arizona. It was at a time when everybody was making an obscene amount of money out there doing things that just, I mean, I knew this one individual who's making $80,000 a month doing mortgages because of how fast the real estate boom was happening out there back in 2006. And this was somebody, love him dearly, but he should not be making that type of money based on who he is. And as soon as it crashed, he filed for bankruptcy. He lost everything, which supports what I'm saying right now. And I got caught up in that for a moment. I did. I had a few cars. I was getting different properties. I was getting sucked up into it. Shortly after that, I end up going to India, where I lived for 3 months. And I remember the first thing I seen on the first day of work, I owned a software company back then. And I remember driving down the road, and I saw this little girl. She had to be 4 or 5 years old. And she was standing next to a dumpster, and she was looking for food. And what was sad about it was that was sad enough, but right next to her was a cow going to the bathroom on the food that she was looking for, like going through. And I'm just sitting, I'm thinking, how do we still have this in today's society? That experience in India humbled me very quickly. Throughout my life, I've learned things that help me make sense of what we're talking about. So for example, I had a deep affiliation with the gentleman that created Six Sigma, which is world renowned in the world. 87 of the Fortune 100 companies use it. Almost 70% of the Fortune 500 companies use it. It's changed the world of business. I became friends with the gentleman that created it because he lived in Arizona. And he taught me that it's the Six Sigma is based on core values, and understanding your core values and then drawing them back into how you identify with your life. And if you live your life through your, and this has all happened in the last 11, 12 years of being able to actually document it, not just living it, but actually understanding the science behind it. The last maybe 12 years or so, it went from just living it and not even sure really how to talk about it to finally understanding what we're talking about now in a Six Sigma way. And it is, you identify your core values, which I have my top 5. Then
What are they? What are they?
my top 5 core values.
Yeah.
Now, here's something interesting with core values, though. They can change throughout life depending on, you get children, you get a dog, it can actually change your core value. But my core values today are this. And every way. And by the way, when you're identifying your core values, just because you say a word, it may have a different meaning to you than it does to somebody else. So my one core value is truth. So truth to me is I have to do what's right no matter what. So, because you talked about money for a moment, I've turned down deals that were 7 figures, like just over $1 million contracts that I turned down because it went against truth. And people would think I'm crazy for doing that. Actually, the first time I did something like that was maybe about 9 years ago. And I turned it down because it went against my truth, which is you got to do what's right no matter what, whether you gain from it or not gain from it. You do it because it is the right thing to do, not because people are watching. That's something that's one of my values. Number 2 is inspire. I like to inspire people to be their best. I like to inspire my children to do what drives them, but I like to be inspired by other people too. That's why I'll follow like Elon Musk and get inspired with Tesla. The third one's imagine. I like to help people think that the impossible is actually possible, but then I want people to help me do the same with my own self. That's why, I'll listen to maybe like a Tony Robbins podcast, and he'll make me think of something that I thought maybe wasn't possible. So that's 3 right there. Another one is enlighten. Enlighten for me is I need to understand things at like that 40,000 foot level before I'm willing to go to work and get in the trenches and do it. I just can't get in the trenches and do something blindly unless I understand the whole pie of like, why am I fighting for it? And then the fifth one is glow. This one I do a little too extreme at times, which probably hurts me to a degree, but at my age, I kind of been able to learn from my mistakes. Glow is I have to be around positive people and positive environments. Now, it doesn't mean that I think everything is rosy 24/7, because it's obviously not, but it's looking at everything, no matter how bad it is, and saying, and looking at the silver lining. So I lost my mom December 17th, 2000. Excuse me one second. I lost my mother December 17th, 2017. She died at 57 years old.
Wow.
And I spent the last 45 days with her in a hospital. It sucked. I mean, to be straight with you, it sucked. And she was my biggest cheerleader. She was with me when life was dealing me hard blows as an entrepreneur. She was the first one that said, "Keep going, Jim." She was my first investor at 18 years old. Gave me $500 out of a cookie jar when we were on welfare. So I mean, $500 to her was a lot of money. But so she was it for me. So when she passed, I went into this dark space. And when I say dark space, what I mean is I didn't want to do business anymore. I just wanted to sit on the couch. And I couldn't go by a day without crying. I mean, every day, the simplest things I would cry over. I would see a billboard, I would start crying. Why? Because it was a trigger of some experience that we had in the past. And so that went on for a while. And I got pulled into it, which could be maybe one of the darkest things to get pulled into when you lose somebody that close to you. Usually, I only stay in that negative darkness space for like 30 minutes, and I get myself out. In this position, it ended up going 9 months, I think,
Wow.
because she was everything to me. And finally, after like 9 months, give or take, I started to look at the silver lining, which is not easy to do. I mean, if you think about it, like the silver lining of losing your mom. And I'm like, all right, I got to start looking at the good in this, because if I keep looking at the bad, I'm basically done the rest of my life. I have children. I got to be an inspiration to them. And so I started looking at the goodness that can come from this. And that's an example of, I don't care how crappy your life is. The fact that you're awake today is precious.
Beautiful, man. And so that leads me perfectly. And I want to say that kudos to you. It only took you 9 months, because when I lost my mom, it took me a couple, like a year, a little bit longer to get over it, and then realize that, okay, what am I going to learn from this?
You know
So,
what, Jonathan? Let me throw something with what you just said. My grandmother passed away in 2014. My grandmother and my mother had the same type of relationship. My mom never got out of it. So I saw her for 3 years in pain, and I saw how much it hurt her health, because she had an autoimmune disease, and it took a toll on her, which I think contributed to her death. And now, not the whole thing, but stress and depression does add to it. I saw how much of an impact it made on her, and I know that helped me get through it faster, to say, all right, I learned from mom's experience to help me speed through this.
yeah, man. All right, let's pick it up here. So this
Yeah.
leads perfectly into the next little bit that I want to ask you about. And this is with everything that's going on and all the hardships that we hit in life, what do you do? How do you stay positive?
Looking at hardships as a whole. So we all face challenges, and there's nothing special about the hardships that all of your viewers are facing. We have to recognize that we all have this. The hardships that are happening to you, though, are very important and powerful in your mindset. But just understand that we all face this. So these hardships are not they're normal. They're very normal. Even the person that looks the most successful to you in life, that seems like they have it all together, I promise you they don't. And I only know that from firsthand experience. I would meet somebody that I looked up to on a platform, like, oh my God, I'm getting to work with this guy or this woman. and then I find out the other side of their life that nobody knows. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that has happened many, many times, and because of what I do for a living, I'm in many different industries. So I meet the celebrity style people in all these different industries. I have yet to meet anyone that has it together and I'm 42 years old. So understand that we're all dealing with the issues. So the question then is, how do we fight through it? One is to understand your core values and understand what brings true happiness in life. True happiness is not you buying a Ferrari. True happiness is not getting a certain size house. If you have done those things, you probably have quickly realized that the excitement of it lasts very short. Now I have some friends that are really car enthusiasts. Like they actually love cars. I literally don't understand that. But they like genuinely love buying these Ferraris and Bentleys, not because they're trying to look good. They actually love it. So there are exceptions to what I'm saying, that you genuinely have a passion for these things. But I think if it's this simple. Let me sum it up like this, because this is a conversation I can have for the next 6 hours on so many layers. This is how I see it. How do you fight through it and stay positive? I can say right now, well, try this, try this, try this. But I don't like doing the quick fixes. I like getting to the root so that you can live a long, meaningful life. And this is how it's worked for me. Discover your core values, whatever they are, doesn't matter. Those core values will give you happiness every day, whether or not you're making money. You'll be happy every day. If you can make money broke, you're going to be very, very happy. Or I'm sorry, if you can be happy when you're broke, you're going to be incredibly happy when you're wealthy. So first, discover your core values. Once you've lived your core values for a certain period of time, probably a year or more, you're going to start to realize what more is there in life. And at that moment, your mind starts to change and you'll start to want to discover your greater purpose. And that greater purpose is, why do you exist right now? You can't discover your greater purpose until you're actually living your own core values out every day. It is impossible to like jump that. So once you're on your greater purpose, once that happens, that is when I believe what you're talking about happens. You don't go in sadness anymore. You don't get all bummed out because of COVID-19. I'm looking at COVID-19. I wish this did not happen, because I don't like to see people dying. But the reality is, it didn't bring me down. And I realized, you know what? I'm living my life's purpose. I'm going to keep on going. Once you're in that life's purpose, all the other stuff that will normally brings humans down, it doesn't impact you anymore. So I think that's the long-term solution of how do you do what you just said. I don't like to get into the short-term solutions, because, as you know, they don't last very long, and then you're off paying $1,000 for another course on how to do the next one.
Dude, that is money. And I hope that everybody, like, you guys need to rewind and listen to this, because I never put it into words, but what you just described, I realized, oh, yeah, that makes sense, because you're looking at the bigger picture. So these little dips in the road don't even mean anything, because you're going after that purpose. Or like the alchemist, you're on your personal legend. There's a bigger picture. There's something else going on, and that pulls you or propels you through all the hard times. And that was beautiful, man. That was really something special. Thank you for that. All right, let's go into leadership. Everything's crazy.
Okay.
Things are changing. People are stuck home. People are out of work. Has your leadership changed? If so, how?
I don't think it has changed. My leadership, from as long as I can remember, I'll say 18 years old, because before that I was probably just stuck in being a kid. From 18 years old up into the passing of my mother, my leadership was the same, which was this: leaders demonstrate what's possible. That's a leader. If you want to be a leader, stand up, go to work. And that is how you inspire other people, by showing what is possible, not by talking. Like, for example, I meet certain trainers out there, mentors, coaches, whatever word people are using these days. And I start looking at what they've done, and they haven't done anything that they're teaching. And I sit there and think, how can you possibly teach people how to be successful doing this? You haven't actually done it yourself. That's not leadership to me. Now, you can be great at talking and understand all the buzzwords of a specific industry, and you can get people as clients. But if that's not leadership, true leadership is you're doing what you're doing, you're exemplifying what's actually possible within your niche. You do that, everybody's going to want to work with you, because you can jump onto any podcast, since we're doing this, any podcast without even preparation, and just talk, and people will leave with value. Why? Because you're not trying to craft your words in a special way. You're just talking existence. You're just sharing experiences. And if the experiences move somebody, cool. If not, cool. But you're just talking yourself. That is leadership. Now, when my mother passed, I thought I knew how to build relationships my entire career, because relationships is a big thing in my life. I thought I knew how to do relationships, but when she passed, that was one of my silver linings. I saw a different layer of what it means to have a true connection between me and another human being, a true relationship beyond the business. And my leadership tweaked a little bit from then. I've heard people talk like this over the years. It didn't sink in until her passing. I don't want anybody watching this to actually have to lose someone to know what love really means and how to have that real connection. I don't wish it on anybody. But unfortunately, it took me losing the closest person in my life to understand relationships. Today, has my leadership changed? It goes back to that greater purpose. If we have to live in the moment. I believe we have to live in a moment, because the future changes. We don't know what the future is. There's so many little tiny things that can change that alters the entire future. So we do have to live in a moment. But leadership is, and again, this is like another 10-hour conversation if we really started talking deep on it. But leadership, it hasn't changed for me because of where we are right now. Because when you're speaking your truth, nothing impacts it. So what do I do every day? For those that have a relationship with God, let me explain it this way, because this is how I think. You talk to people as though you're talking to God. If you believe in God, I'm not pushing any agenda here, but you talk to people as though you're talking to God. So would you talk the way you're talking right now? Would you be trying to negotiate and get the best deal with somebody and taking from them? No, you would find something equal in the middle that you know is fair, that has no room for negotiation, you do the business deal in a minute. Why? Because you're looking out for the best of each other. You listen to people as though God is talking. So are you going to be on your phone typing as you're having a conversation with God? I don't think so. So, which is a problem, people on the phone all the time. So you listen to people as though God is talking to you. And then the third is you deal with people, like the way you treat people, as though God is standing there watching. And if you truly believe in God, what I just said is profound. It will make you think twice. That is how I live in terms of leadership, and it will never change, no matter how crazy the times get. Whether they're good, the stock market explodes, there's a burst. It doesn't matter, because if we have to train our brains to live at a higher plane, which is not easy, because our emotions give us a great life. It allows us to smile, laugh, cry, feel everything. And that's like one of the beautiful things about living, is that we feel everything. But we also got to be careful with it, because if we let our emotions control us, everything I'm saying right now is a moot point. It won't work. We'll just be a train wreck every day. So if we can control our emotions, then we can use them for good and power. And if we do that, everything you're talking about right now, or everything I'm talking about right now, is easily done for people.
People are going to think we scripted this. All right. And it's the Daily Bread Project. Yeah, I'm sure that the people tuning in are believers, and that was indeed profound. In fact, I need to pull that out for a clip, because it was powerful. So let's go on to the next section. Love is what we talk about next. You talked about loving people, and I'm wondering, what opportunities, what are you loving right now? What's got you fired up?
Um, Love is a beautiful word. And I'm an entrepreneur for 25 years. Love is not always the word to use in entrepreneurship. Usually there's a lot of sharks, a lot of people that are just out for blood to make money. So doing love is difficult at times. And when I say difficult at times, I don't mean us giving love. I mean, if we give love, there's a chance we're going to get our heads chopped off. So that's what I mean by that. So love is a beautiful thing. I really love that word, and it is something that I live by on everything. So I actually did this as a Facebook post once. I said, love yourself and love others. That is also something I live by. And so love yourself means spiritually. If you don't believe, if I mean, spiritually is even down to like Buddha level of, and I don't mean down as going down, but in another plane is Buddha level of just getting in touch with yourself. The other is physical. Take care of yourself on the outside, and then take care of yourself on the inside. Get all your nutrients that you need if you want to live a long life. That is loving yourself. Loving others is all about treating them the way that you would want to be treated. And so I'm a big component on loving yourself and loving others. When you do that, you will attract the right people. And when you attract the right people, you do form your little group. And your little group can be 2 or it could be 2,000, but you will form a group of people. And when you form that, oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. So what am I loving today? I am on a quest to, for the last 25 years, I have created, I've used social media to grow any business that I was in or that I owned. And so I have this very deep relationship with social media. And I developed this system to allow you to never run out of people to talk to for your business using social media. And there's a lot of things behind it that documents this 25-year success that would excite people. And I'm now at a point now where the love is taking this system, getting it around the world to change the world of business. And that is what's really driving me right now. And we have the system used in about 101 countries right now that are using it, all different types of businesses. And what's driving me is I want to take the world of business, no matter what industry it is, and I want to give everybody an even playing field. So it doesn't matter if you have a big ad budget. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you have a Rolodex of the best people ever because you've been doing it for 20 years. I wanted to give everyone an even playing field so that if you have the work ethic, you're a rock star. That's what the system does. And it's very systematic. It's been backed by Six Sigma. That is what's driving me. And here's why I have the love for it, Jonathan. This is big picture thinking. If I can alter the world of business to where everyone has the same even playing field, that means everyone can truly succeed if they put in the work. I feel if I can do that, then what will happen is if the world of business changes, that will now go into the personal lives of people. And if I can do that, I think I could be a small part of changing this world in a way that's massive. That is what I love. I mean, I even talk to friends sometimes, and I'll say this because it is public now that we're recording this, but I mean, I'll go so deep. I'll talk to friends and they're like, well, what are you gonna do after that? I'm like, oh, it's easy. I'm gonna change the world of business like Six Sigma did, where this is used on every level. Then we're gonna take it into the personal lives of people. And then at that point, I'll probably run for president of the United States. That's what I tell people. They're like, why would you do that? I'm like, because I don't want my kids growing up in the world that I grew up in. And people say, well, our world's gotten better and better and better. Yeah, it has gotten better than the previous 20 years. And you can look at certain things. But what I see is I see a broken world. And no matter how advanced we get with technology, no matter how cool we get with breakthroughs, as a whole, the world is broken until we go at a higher level, on a conscious level of where we actually care for each other. We will continue to live this type of world, but just with more cooler advanced technology. But we will still have the same problems. So I'm on a crazy, way up there type of goal. Will I ever achieve it? I have no idea, but I will die trying.
Man, it's almost like you answered my last question already, but maybe we can just do a summary. So, how do you want to be remembered?
Mm. You know, it's funny, as you said that, I was thinking of what popped in my. And by the way, this is not scripted. When I got on this podcast, I was logging into this podcast, Jonathan. I was saying to myself, I have no idea what we're talking about. and I was like, this is gonna be interesting. But I with the person that connected us. She's a beautiful soul. So I knew whatever was gonna be really good. But when you said that, what popped in my head was when I watched the movie Troy with Brad Pitt, and I think it was at the end of the movie, and this might be a manly thing, but where he said something like, "I lived at the time of," and it was all these names of Achilles, of this, and people will say that I lived at the time of Achilles, and that's not an egotistical thing for me. It might have been for Achilles, I don't know, but for me to be remembered as I lived at a time when Jim Lupkin was here, what that means to me has nothing to do with ego. What it has to do with is this guy thought in a way that transcend how we lived. He didn't think about making decisions based on money. You know, I did a post the other day, Jonathan, about I said something like, I wonder if COVID-19 would be as bad as it is right now if we made decisions based on actually taking care of each other and not based on money. And what I meant by that was, if we develop into, and everything I'm saying is possible because I believe, because of social media, it allows us to, it allows everyone to be connected. So as long as people really believe in what I'm saying and they believe it can really happen, social media brings us all together. There's no groups that can cut us off. That's why I think this is possible today. Um, if COVID-19, with COVID-19, if we made decisions based on saving each other, not on these, and excuse me for some of my wording here, because I'm not someone that usually curses and does any stuff like that. I actually don't. I try to be polite all the time, but these damn political people doing the stupidest things online, saying, hey, we need to get back to work. And if it means that, you know, some people are going to die, you know, we have to do what's for the greater good. That is wrong, where we're willing to let one human being die just because we have to save the economy. So, you know, if we were living in a world like what you just asked, that means the entire economy just stops. There's no loss, there's no gain. It just stops because everyone says, hey, we need to protect everybody. It just stops. Everyone enjoy their life for the next 3 weeks at home. And then in 3 weeks, we're going to turn everything back on. We wouldn't need a $1 trillion stimulus plan. Everything just stops. But because we live our lives based on money, someone will always get hurt. So I want to be remembered as like that Achilles thing, somebody that was crazy enough to think we need to change the entire world. And that's how I want to be remembered.
Is that all? That's
That,
it?
I mean, it's small thinking, but yeah,
Very
that's
modest. I
yeah,
like it.
pretty much.
All right, Jim, for everybody out there listening, whether it's on iTunes, whether it's on Facebook, wherever they're listening, where can they find out more about
So you know, why don't you guys just go to go to Facebook, go to facebook.com/Jim Lupkin, JIMLUPKIN. Send me a private message. If you're on LinkedIn, send me a private message. On Instagram, send me a private message. I like to have relationships and connect with people. If somebody needs to see my resume, I'll send it to you. If somebody needs to see a website, I'll send it to you. But relationships is the key to me, not pitching some business thing. So yeah, go to your favorite social site, type in Jim Lupkin, you'll find my profile, and send me a private message. Let's become friends, and let's see where life takes us.
you? Man, this is amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time out to wrap. Thank you for sharing your big picture thinking. Man, thanks a trillion. I totally enjoyed this. So, this has been the dailybreadproject.com, and we brought you more positivity than you could shake a stick at today. Thank you, Mr. Jim Lupkin. Look him up in any social media site. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back in your earbuds tomorrow.